It's time for Damn Good Marketing Podcast. I'm your host, Shelby Clement. From corporate executive to CEO to entrepreneur and the founder of Damn Good Marketing Live. This podcast is all about digital marketing, building a business you love, and creating a brand that's authentic to who you are. So if you're ready for honest, raw marketing conversations that you will not find anywhere else, let's freaking get it. Candy Modeen, welcome to Damn Good Marketing Podcast. I'm so excited to have you.
I am so excited to be here.
Oh my God, this episode is going to be so freaking good. So what I want to start out with is, can you give us a little backstory of who you are, what do you do? Give us that, and then we can just go into this convo.
Okay, I'm going to try to take a really long story and condense it way down.
Okay.
My name is Candy Morse Modeen. I am born, raised Covington, Louisiana. I am a real estate agent, actually broker, and I've been in this business for 27 years. I work with a team, the Morse Team, and we're part of McHenry Residential, and just do all the things.
All the things. Y'all, literally, this is a family business.
Yes.
Truly. Can you take us down? How did you get to where you are? Did you always want to be a real estate agent? I mean, your mom was one. So can you elaborate a little bit on that?
I can totally elaborate. So no, I did not always plan to be in the real estate business. I went to LSU, and my first, I think, declared major was fashion merchandising because that was our family background.
Okay.
My grandmother opened a store called the Suella way back in the 50s.
Yes.
And then my mother joined her in business. And then when my grandmother got really ill, they ended up closing it in the early 80s. They shut down the business.
Okay.
But Suella was something that was there for years in Covington, in different places in downtown Covington. So that was what I knew. I knew about sales. I knew about clothes. I knew about going to market. I knew about all those types of things because that's how we were brought up. We were brought up in the store. A lot of, you just brought your kids.
Yeah.
And so started with fashion merchandising. Got into LSU and realized that I had to take a foreign language.
Oh.
And no.
You were like, no, thanks.
No, because I'd not ever taken one, even at SSA. I got to skirt all those classes and just focus on art. So I was like, that's not going to work. So went into general studies, just played around, had a great time at LSU.
Yeah.
And then realized I needed to have a career. And then that's when I pivoted to graphic design. So that, I always tell everybody, I took a 5-year program. I condensed it into 4 years. So granted, 7 years at LSU, but I did graduate.
Hey.
In graphic design.
And you have a great career.
Yes. So started in graphic design, so marketing, all those types of things. Worked for printers, did a lot of pre-press design.
Yeah.
Loved that. Had some great opportunities. And then after my first one was born, I still stayed into, my first daughter was born, I stayed in the graphic design business with the printer, took her to daycare, broke my heart every single time that I dropped her off. Even though I know she was being well taken care of, I hated that separation. So when I was pregnant for my second one, I knew I needed a career change. And at that time, my mom and my oldest sister were already in real estate. They'd been in there for a few years, had a really good business going, and they were like, come work with us, get your license, you can help us in all our marketing. And that's where I started.
Yeah.
So that was 1998 is when I received my license and started working with them. And so I did a big pivot. And again, my youngest came to work with us every day. So we were able to not, have to put her in any kind of daycare.
That's so cool.
I know, it was wonderful.
So wait, multiple things. Number one, isn't it so crazy that when you think you want to go to school for something and you get in and one thing that makes you uncomfortable, you're like, skirt? Because I was in school to be a physical therapist.
Oh, okay.
And I started to take biology and I was like, no, this is just not for me. And then I worked for a physical therapist and I was like, this is that. No offense to physical therapists, but it just wasn't my personality. Isn't it so weird how it changed? And then I wanted to be sports marketing and my dad was like, that's too focus, just go into marketing, broad marketing, because it's so fun and interesting. And I think that's so cool. Okay, let's go back a little bit when you did your pivot. Can you tell us a little bit about what were you feeling in that moment? Were you excited? Were you nervous? Because you were just so used to, being a graphic designer and pouring into that for a while that now you're going into real estate. Yes, it's a family business, but at the same time, what were you feeling in that moment?
I was excited. Because I already knew and had sort of been following along with my mom and my older sister Lisby on what they were doing. And my grandmother did a little real estate development. My mother was always a little bit into it, even though she wasn't a licensed realtor at the time. So it wasn't anything that was scary, because really my focus getting in with them was on strictly the marketing, advertising our listings, making all of our flyers look good. All the things prior to social media, when you had like an actual print of a house that you stuck on a piece of paper and you made color copies of.
Literally marketing 101.
Truly. And then really, truly, at the very end of LSU, I was on a Mac. So it was like, the little box Mac.
Yeah.
And that's where I learned on, and I learned a little bit of that once I graduated, and I worked in an advertising agency. So my mom she bought a Mac, and so I was able to work on that and kind of do something a little more sophisticated than, sticking a picture on a piece of paper. So that was comfortable. I knew that. So I was excited to, I was excited to have sort of more control over my time.
Yeah.
That was,
and you got to dictate your schedule. And it was almost like, well, kind of. Wait, elaborate. Kind of.
So, you learn over many years. When I first got in the business, I let my clients dictate my schedule for a lot of, because
good point.
I was taught, and I'm still this way, is service.
Yeah.
My phone rings, we answer it. There's very few times that if I have a phone call coming in, it's 9:00 at night, and it's from someone, like a client, I know I'm answering it.
Yeah.
Because there's a reason they're calling me at that time. There's very few that call just to, oh, by the way, can you check on this?
Yeah.
So, at the very beginning, I was definitely letting our customers and clients dictate our time. But over time, over experience, over confidence, over getting to a certain level, you kind of learn how to manage that out. And everybody respects each other's times.
Yeah.
So to put a few little perimeters in place when you first start. But, someone has to work on a Sunday, then we're showing property on a Sunday. If it needs to be on a Wednesday night, we're showing property on a Wednesday night. So, we're working with what works for them and works for us at the same time.
So for the people that are listening right now, and when they are saying like setting boundaries, because I know in the very beginning, so it kind of was a silly question, but I'm glad you actually answered it the way you did, because in the beginning, I thought the same thing. I thought I had to be available all the time. I thought I had to answer, because I was so scared that if I didn't answer, because we live in such a world of like instant, that they were going to go somewhere else. And I was like, well, I don't have time for that. Or I cannot afford that.
Right.
So what kind of advice would you give? And you did say this actually before I asked my question, which was an aha moment too for me when I actually started doing it. When you put boundaries into place, people actually start to respect you more. And is what I found. What kind of advice would you give someone that's starting out, or even like that's been in it for a couple of years, no matter what industry it is, for like setting boundaries and really like holding to them?
Most people are going to, like you said, are going to respect you more when you explain that I'm here to help you. I'm here, if there's an emergency, here's what we'd love to be able to keep in within hours of, I'm available from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. We don't really draw a hard line on those, but, you just kind of have a good conversation. You get to really know the people you're working with, and then you understand, and they actually understand what you have going on in your world as much as you understand what's going on in their world. And then there's just this natural ability to say, okay, well, unless there's an emergency, anything can wait until the morning.
Yeah.
And then there's been times that I have gotten like a text with a question that I'm like, that's not an emergency. And I'll just respond, I'll just get back to you first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
And it's been, there's no pushback on that. So it's, you just have to understand that people do want and expect in this day and age,
instant
results.
Yes.
My mom used to call it a fast food world, that you drive through, you get served and you leave, and it's immediate. And that's just how we've sort of, been raised, and especially through the generations beyond where I grew up.
Yeah. And honestly, social media has just heightened it even more. And honestly, I am feeling like more of the calm and slow down. Like I think a lot of people are craving that. And I think that that's something that we all need to understand, that setting boundaries and having you time and things can freaking wait. And if not, guess what? Those are not your people. If they don't understand your boundaries, they don't understand your time, they don't respect your time, and they think that that question that isn't an emergency needs to be answered right now, they're just not for you.
That is, I think there's so many parallels to what position you're in with your job and your business into what we do, because it's a service industry.
Yes.
And we both provide services, different services,
Yeah.
but we're providing a service. And yes, that's 100%. It took me a really long time and a lot of confidence in my business to be able to tell someone that I don't think I'm the person for you.
Oh, and doesn't it feel so weird but so good at the same time?
It's the right thing to do,
Yes.
because if I'm miserable, then they've got to be a little miserable, and I don't want anybody's experience to be negative.
No.
So you just kind of know that, hey, I might not be the right person for you.
Yeah.
So that does feel good.
Can you tell us a little bit more about real estate in the sense of like, it's not just a one time transaction? Because like my first house I bought at 24 years old in Thibodaux.
Awesome.
Well, because I was paying rent out. I was like, what the heck am I doing? Like, an apartment was insane. So I bought a house. And like, we bought twice in Thibodaux, and then we obviously moved to Covington. Yes. And I will say that buying a home is probably the most stressful thing that you will ever do. And that real estate is so intimate. Real estate agent, your mortgage lender, like they are in your business so much that you have to know, like, trust them. So can you elaborate a little bit on like why is it so important to trust the people that you work with when it comes to real estate? It's not just buying a house. You're buying a forever home, or maybe someone that wants to buy a house too. So like, can you elaborate on that a little bit for us?
Yes. So excuse me, real estate is all relationships.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where that's where the magic happens in real estate, is just building those relationships. And through building those relationships and having really good conversations, not putting undue pressures on people, that's where that trust builds.
Yeah.
And the trust builds through also just our knowledge base and
Yep.
our expertise and knowing the facts and knowing that we are lifelong learners. So I would never, 27 years in the business, I would never say, I know everything, I'm good to go. I am always, and everybody on our team is craving to learn more.
Yeah.
Watch the markets to see what's going on, to study what's happening, so that when we're asked those types of questions, that we have an answer that's a logical answer and it makes sense. So that all is part of building that trust. And it is about just being a really good listener.
Yeah.
And just really engaging. And you really, when I tell you, it's at a closing many times, it's like there's like a little piece of you that's like, wait a minute, are we not going to talk every day now?
Right?
And it's both ways. And it's like, no, we're going to check in with you. We're here. We're your yellow pages.
Yeah.
When you need to know, what kind of doctor you're looking for, where to get your dry cleaning done, where to get your, what pharmacy you want to, what doctors, all that. That's call us, because we're invested. We've been here in our whole life. We know the community. We know the people. We know we can connect you. So we do a lot of that.
Literally last night, so our AC went out.
Gosh,
so if you're listening to this, okay, it was a while back when this actually launches, but I literally looked at John, because we deal with someone, and when I've had clients, like AC clients, they have like an emergency line. Not that it is an emergency, but my house was freaking hot last night, and like, or like an answer, whatever, and they didn't, like the people we use, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to be with Candy tomorrow, and I bet she knows another one. So, like, I am going to ask her, because that's so true. Because, like, when we first moved here, we knew no one. Like, we didn't know who to call, what to do, nothing. And so, like, when you get people that are out of town or even here, or they're older or they're younger and they just don't know, you are a lifeline for them for quite literally everything. And that's why when I say like market, even for real estate agents, people look at me like I have three heads. I'm like, talk about date nights, talk about events. And y'all do such a freaking great job at like marketing your business. Okay, wait, now we're going into marketing, because I want to definitely talk about what y'all do on Instagram. And I'm not taking any credit for this, because I'm like, y'all, the Morse Team Minute, like your background is now like, Did you ever have like a moment where you're like, I don't want to do social media? Or did you ever think that it wasn't going to work like old traditional marketing would?
We've always been very forward thinking in
Mm-hmm.
marketing. And I will tell you a little story back. I'm gonna say it was like 2017
Yeah.
ish. Melody had maybe had her license for about a year. We were with Remax. We actually went to a seminar that Remax held regionally. They
Mm-hmm.
brought in a speaker from Florida, and I'm gonna shout out to my friend Pinky. Sue Benson came from Naples, and she was like one of the only people, agents who were getting tons of success doing video marketing. And she just kind of went out there very authentically, did it all herself, just was very organic. And she came and did a little class on video marketing. And Melody and I left that day and we walked together in the morning. And we were walking and we were like, we need to do this because we were thinking in our area, who's doing this?
Yes.
Nobody.
Nobody.
Nobody was doing any kind of video marketing. And we were like, we just need to do something. So the next day was Halloween. The next day, we were talking about this, the 30th. The next day was Halloween. So within like hours, and of course, here's my dramatic background. I'm like, we can be a Halloween theme. We're going to dress up as witches. So instead of like really focusing on just us in front of the property, I wanted to make it like fun.
Genius.
Well, it was good at that time.
Yes.
It was good at that time. And so here's our mom's still in business with us. So my mom dressed up as the ghost. Melody and I dressed up as witches. We went to 3 of our listings and we had these little scripts that we did. We had, I think Melody's daughter, Caroline, with her baby Henry strapped to her in a little, when the babies, what do they call that, little sack.
On your chest, yes.
Yes, thank you.
We can't think of the name right now, but it's fine. Irrelevant.
with my iPhone on Instagram, filming like segments of it, and then we kind of just rawly put it together. But we did, and it was fun. We had great engagement.
It was different.
It was funny, but we were still promoting our listings. And so we kind of rolled with that. And we did special holiday time things. We went to Christmas, we went to Easter, we went to Mardi Gras. So then it sort of evolved into and there's some classic ones out there that I throw in every now and then to our Instagram. Then we started saying, let's just change this to be a little less kitschy and a little more like focused on, the listings, which is when we kind of started the Morse Team Minute.
When did you develop the Morse Team Minute? And who came up with that name? Because I love it. It's so catchy.
Well, we did, I think it was 2020. It was the very beginning of it was either 2019 or 2020. This is terrible. I'm terrible with dates.
It's okay.
I'll tell you that.
I'm here for it.
And we just decided that we were going to try to come up with some really good information that was relevant, that people were going to be engaged with, and make it quick. Well, the minute was as much as you could do in Instagram.
Yes.
You could not go a minute. I mean, we get cut off all the time.
Yeah.
And then it'd be like, we got to start over, instead of now we have all the tools that we don't need to do that. But speed up our voices, all the things that I love.
Yeah.
So we started that and it was like, okay, this is good. And we had good reaction to it. And a lot of people would come up to us randomly at places when we were like, Melody would go to LSU games and somebody would come up to her and say, we love we watched the Morse Team Minute. We can't wait for the Morse Team Minute to come. And we're like, okay, this is good. Let's continue this. So then I was like, okay, we have to do it every Wednesday of every week. I was, kind of like hard, fast rule. And we did do that. It was part of our consistency. It was like, we got to consistently have this. And we have. This year, we've kind of, it's not near as consistent.
Yeah.
It's just, there's been a lot of transition. We've been busy. Kate had a little baby.
Yes.
And so, we're going to roll back into it, but we might modify it. We might bring it up to a little more of a different different level than we had before. But we do love the opportunity to talk about things that are really relevant to people at that time.
It's like, I find it so fascinating when I met you, when I finally like looked into y'all's Instagram, it's things that like the consumer really wants to know.
Yes.
And it's like, instead of just talking about how much money you made or what's listing or what's sold, I'm like, no one cares. We want to know, what do you know? What are you going to tell us that people don't want to tell us? And how are you going to build the trust factor with us?
Yes.
And I think y'all do it flawlessly. Can you elaborate a little bit on what you think social media has done for y'all and your business and the growth that you guys have experienced?
I think it's incredibly instrumental. There's no way, in fact, in today's real estate world, I even find it really hard to see how people can really grow their business in the way that they want it to grow. Maybe they don't. But if you really want to grow your business, if you really want to grow your clientele base, you've got to have consistency in your marketing, social media marketing, your branding, and you have to engage with video. People want to see you. I mean, real estate is so personal.
It's so personal.
So they want to see you. They want to hear your voice. They want to connect to you. And again, you talked earlier about building that trust. That's kind of where that gets pulled in.
Yes.
Is by and you preach this all the time. I mean,
I
watch
you to say any of this, guys. I swear.
I watch. Of course, I follow you very much on Instagram, and I'm like, yes. You know, it's kind of you're driving a point home that is so important, but you know, and I love that. Like the marketing side of me, that background, that natural, I guess, creative side of me, loves that. Like if I could turn off all the external things that happen in my world 24 hours a day and just say, okay, nobody called, talk to me, I need an hour, I would have so much fun focusing on creating more material, creating more video, doing more editing. But, you know, it's really hard.
Yeah.
And, you know, if that's not your only thing that you're doing, it's really hard to be able to do a lot of that, which is why somebody like Shelby Clement comes in and does it for you.
That plug. I mean, hey, people are going to be like, wow, how much did you get her to say that? Wait, I want you to give us a little bit of advice because there's so many things. There's obviously a generational gap. From like the people, like literally, I deal with it all the time. When I left corporate, people were like, "What the hell are you doing? Like leaving corporate to go work social media management." First off, what does that even mean? And like my parents were the same way. They were nervous for me because they didn't understand.
Right.
And what would you say? Like, how did you just rip the band? Like, okay, maybe not you, maybe Melody. Does she have like marketing?
Melody
background?
will tell you, number one, she does not do any of the marketing.
But like, how did you get her on video? Like, how did you rip off the Band-Aid?
She was fine. You know.
And you're like walking and talking. Like, what would be your advice to someone that's like, because when you walk and talk, you're not all done up. You have your glasses on, you're walking, you're giving.
I'm covering my bags usually.
With her glasses. But hey, like, what can you give like one piece of advice on like, just rip the damn Band-Aid off and just do it and talk about the good stuff that people actually want to hear?
Yes. Well, 100%. Just get in it, do it. Don't critique yourself. You know, I just, you know, focused on my bags, but there's been many times that I've done video without any sunglasses on, outside, finishing a walk, sweaty, not a stitch of makeup on. It's like, you know, that's who I am. And you know, I guess a lot of that has to come with my age too.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I'm going to be 61 in a couple of weeks.
Happy early birthday.
April. And so I always felt like, you know, that stuff just doesn't scare me too much. You know, I am who I am. I'm very comfortable with myself. I try to show confidence. I've tried to show, I think I've had it my whole life, and I've tried to really, you know, press that on my children, my daughters, and I feel like I have. I feel like, you know, they are confident in what they do. You just, you know, don't criticize yourself, because anybody who's if you feel like you're being criticized, those are not the people who you need to worry about. What you're going to really engage with are the people who are really going to understand who you are, really love what you're doing, you know, have an attitude of, you go, girl, that's awesome. You know, just do your thing, give your information, show your sincerity, and then move on.
Yes, because the worst thing that literally could happen is if you meet someone in real life and they see you and follow you online and they're like, wait, you're two different people, or I didn't know you looked like that, or you like whatever.
No filters, no filters.
And my biggest goal in life, and especially when I meet people like in real life, they're like, "Oh my God, you are literally like the same person you are online." I was like, "Okay, you know what?
That's good.
That if I'm good, I'm done. I accomplished what I want because I don't want people to feel like I'm a different person. I'm not approachable. I want to showcase everything, the good, the bad, the ugly. I either look done up or I look like crap. And I look like, but I'm okay with that. And I just think that social media has heightened so much of like, it's dictating more so of like what you actually do because you're scared of what you look like or scared of what people will say. Like I had a conversation with someone the other day. I was networking and they said, I'm scared to get on video because I don't like my voice. And I'm like, why don't you just embrace your voice? But the thing what I tell people is this, video yourself and don't watch it back. Have someone else edit it or just post it and be done. When you rip off the Band-Aid the first time, okay, maybe the second time, third time might take 10 times, whatever. Or 4 years in, you're still nervous. But like it comes with time, but it's also like how important is it to you to market your business?
Here's what I look at it, and all that is so true, is I have a big why.
Yes.
I have a huge why of why I'm in real estate, why I still work full time, why I don't have any projected retirement date. This is, I have a big why.
Yeah.
And so that why will overcome all those, negativity, the lack of confidence, the the fear. Fear paralyzes people. And if that why is big enough, you're going to just knock all that out of the way and just push forward.
Yeah.
So
I think that's so important for people to understand that and just to really lean into that because not every day you're motivated to get up and do what you do. It doesn't mean you don't love it. It just means this one has to kick in and your why. Can you share us your why?
Well, my why.
Or a little bit of some of it if you don't want to say all
my
of it.
why really is, to be, a big provider for our family.
Yeah.
I have an amazing husband. He is so supportive. He's incredible. I have to give him a little shout out.
Yes.
Never fusses about my time that, real estate pulls away from us because we work it all out. But he's so supportive. And the why is I want to retire one day. So I'm building, up enough of a retirement fund to be able to retire. I want to travel. When I was younger, our why was I wanted my girls to go to private school. And so that was a big part of what my real estate business accomplished.
Yeah.
I wanted to build a house on the family compound. So with us, my husband's career and my career together, we were able to do all these things.
Yeah.
We're still very conservative, but the why is I like where I am.
Yeah.
I like my life.
Yeah. And I will tell you this, guys, like if you don't have a strong enough why, it's not going to keep you going. So I absolutely admire that because it's the legacy that you're leaving and the things that you want to accomplish in life with your husband and with your girls and with your family. Guys, I will say this too, as we wrap up, I have two things to say, but if literally social media wasn't a thing, I would not be sitting across from you because the only reason I met Candy was I put on a free event at the beer garden in 22 and you reached out for me to come speak at y'all's event. Literally, I was like, I want to speak on stages. And I was like, I don't know how to do this. And I'm going to give everybody advice here. If you want to do something in life, sometimes you have to create it. And I created a stage. I got the content that showed me as a speaker, which then Candy saw as our recap and was like, hey, can you come speak? It was probably my second speaking gig ever in my life. I was so nervous.
It was amazing.
And we have connected ever since. And
Yes.
you were the first person I called for DGML. Because I was literally like,
so honored.
Is this going to work in this town? Because
Yeah.
I was new here. And so
Yes.
you were like, you walked out of Maribo
Did.
and you called me at 7 p.m. and you're like, hey, girl, what's your idea? And I told you and you were like, yes, I think that this will work for you.
Go for
and you
it.
have supported me ever since. So
Well,
thank you.
And you've supported me. So I appreciate you. And it's been such a journey and it's so exciting. And I love seeing the growth that you've made and the imprints, the amazing imprints you've made throughout our community and beyond.
Well, thank
Your
you.
reach is far. So
Thank you.
It's really awesome.
Okay, now tell everybody, give your unapologetic plug. How can you help? How can they find you? Even if they don't live here, where do they go to follow you to understand the Morse Team Minute, to get in your world? All this. You need Candy in your world, so hit them up.
Okay, awesome. So we are on Instagram and Facebook at the Morse Team, and it's MORSETEAM, the Morse Team. I work with my sister Melody and my niece Kate. We are the Morse Team. You can find us on, I think our website is themorseteam.com. So pretty much the Morse Team will find all of our social media platforms and our website. We love to help people buy and sell, invest, land, residential. We do very light commercial. We don't do heavy commercial, but we have done some light commercial, and we are relationship-based realtors. When you start working with us, you're going to know that we care about you and that service is at the top of what we really pride ourselves on.
Yay! Call them if you want them. Guys, if you love this episode, please like, comment, and share. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
Freaking great conversation. I can't wait for this launch. Guys, let's freaking get it until next time. And that's a wrap on another episode of Damn Good Marketing Podcast. Thank you all so much for being here. Make sure you comment, review, share it with a friend. Come back next week. And until next time, let's freaking get it.